Art. My name is Miriam Usman. Every week we bring you practitioners in the art sector of Nigeria, and together we weigh in the advantages there are to visual art in our everyday lives. This program is brought to you by Prince Antonio Yamisi Shilon, legal practitioner, Africa's largest private art collector, Grand Donor and Chairman of Council, Yamisi Shilon Museum of Art, in collaboration with SNA Ogun State Chapter. Today we are joining one of Abeokuta's finest artists. Don't forget, this quarter we're bringing you conversation around art from the studios of these artists themselves. And today we are joining Mr. Femi Ogunseye in his studios. Thank you for having us today in your studio.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Miriam. It's a pleasure to have you in my studio today.
Indeed. Yeah. All right. I love having this conversation with artists because it broadens an idea of art. So you would think you know much about art until you start to listen to artists tell you stories about real life issues and the connection every human has to understand with art. So I wanted to start our conversation for you today. I want you to walk us through it. What can you best describe art as a practitioner?
Yeah, thank you. Art is a means of expressive and creative communication. What do we mean by that? Art is very vast. Art is life. Singing, dancing, painting, even cookery is involve art as well. So it's a day-to-day activity that starts when you wake up, that ends when you go to bed, and it's even a lifelong process. It's the culture which the human embed their life on. That's how simple I could define art.
I like your definition of art, an indication that you are an art educator. Let me quickly add that Mr. Femi Ogunseye is an art educator, a sculptor,
yes,
a painter.
A painter, a poet, and a designer.
So you're a jack of all trades, master of all.
Exactly.
All right, walk us through it. What was it like for you from the very start, your connection with art? How did it start? How was the journey? And what's it looking like now?
Yes, thank you. Like every other individual, especially when you are in the secondary school, you may have different ideas of area which you want to diversify into. And I was planning to, let's say, be a lawyer, and at a point I observed that that dream could not come to reality. And I have that talent in me, which I normally draw and paint. And a friend of my father then always see my drawings, and he loved to encourage me by giving me some money. And after a while, we got to the west from Kano State, and I now started to practice. And eventually, I ended up in the technical college. Later, I attended the College of Education before going to University of Benin to study art. And I did my youth service in Anambra State. And here I am in Abeokuta teaching art in a secondary school, which is an interesting experiment and exposure to me, because this is an international school where I've combined the knowledge of the national curriculum to the British curriculum and other international curriculum.
That sounds like a very long journey, but you were very good at summarizing it. So in a nutshell, you have practiced art for how long?
I've been teaching for more than 20 years. But I've been practicing before then, because I had a gallery then in Songo where I display my artworks. And of course, if you own a gallery in such a place, you will need to back it up with something. What do I mean by that? You observe that the place I mentioned, Songwater, is not known for art collectors, and most art collectors prefer to go to maybe Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt. Those are where art sells well. But because I did not back it up and I was teaching, and I was also managing my dad's hotel there, and I was also managing the gallery. So, but the gallery was not paying per se, but I was able to augment. But after a while, some issues came up, and I decided to travel out of the place to Kaduna, where I also continued teaching, continued exhibiting. I was with Alliance Francaise in Kaduna, where I exhibited, and don't lie up and down.
So by backing up, you mean you have to do other things?
Yes, by backing up, maybe you have an art gallery, you can bring in your POS, you can sell adire, you can sell beads, you can sell gift items, things that people can collect. Yes, souvenirs, and maybe t-shirts and sandals. Just bring in things that will attract people. Even if you have a snooker board, you can put the snooker board.
I think that's the business side of art that's not a lot of artists are familiar with.
Exactly, because the location I mentioned, Songu, of course, people will need to take care of their basic needs first. You are feeding, their clothing, their housing problem, their school electricity, school fees, and all what have you, before they can spend on aesthetics. So that's a major factor. Even owning a gallery for people to even visit to see is satisfactory enough, even if they did not buy. But if it's not yielding profit from maybe other source, one may find it difficult.
You mentioned earlier that you've had to combine the national curriculum and the international standard, which makes you a man with broad knowledge about art, both international and national wise. At what point did you know that you wanted to teach art, and how were you able? Because I know art could be a bit personal for some persons. For some artists, they just want it to be them versus the art. If it's the pencil, they're always with their pen. If it's the painting, they always want it to paint. They always want to paint, but not necessarily teaching. Teaching is another act of its own, where we have art on the other hand. At what point did you know that I want to teach art, I should teach art?
Yeah, after my secondary school, I observed that I was not having enough requirements to go study law, as I have said earlier. So I now decided to further my education in the technical college, because I did not want to stay at home. And then we have this feeling that you don't go and retake your papers in maybe the school you left. So I now decided, okay, from the technical college, that is where I now gain exposure. There is this brother friend of mine who studied in the technical college. So I saw his works, very beautiful and nice works. So I now decided that, okay, let me go to technical college, and that is where I now love what I was doing there. And as the course prefect there, I was also teaching my colleagues how to draw, how to paint, and I developed interest in teaching. So, and College of Education is not far from the technical college. I just decided to, okay, if I couldn't gain admission to university, then let me go to the college, and then from there I do direct entry and study art proper. So that was the journey. And once you have started teaching, you develop more interest in teaching, and then you now broaden your knowledge, especially if you are enjoying what you are doing. Do you get it? So it's a pleasure. It's something that I can even do for free. And then when you now do so, have the feeling of doing something for free and you are being paid, you get to do it more.
Well,
exactly.
I agree with you. Let's just have a conversation around this teaching of art, art education. And I wanted to walk us through a little bit on the curriculum you mentioned about the international and Nigeria. How is it like? Is it something that we need to do more from our end, and talking about national-wise?
Yes. The Nigerian curriculum is kind of, we don't renew or refresh our curriculum as often as expected. It's kind of static, and most of the things we have there are not being used properly. Take, for example, initially we had the 6334. Before the 6334, we had a system before that. And after the 6334, we had this. Now, I think it's either 934 or thereabout, which is not consistent. And a lot of educators are not even aware of this new curriculum. And I remember during the 6334, in a school where I taught in Lagos, some of the equipment brought for technical drawing was lying fallow there. They were never installed until after that system went off. And these are some of the challenges where we have. But to run a British curriculum, they have COBIS, that is a body that monitors the curriculum, the equipment, the facilities before you could be accredited. So accreditation matters in the British curriculum, and they do a lot of follow-up, but the Nigerian curriculum, we still need to do a lot to bring it to international standard. Though WAEC is accepted anywhere in the world, but we still need, because that is West African examination. So, but we still need to hype it up so that it can meet up with the requirements of the world.
Thank you so much for giving us the grand basis of this conversation today. We'll go on this break, and when we return, the conversation continues with Mr. Femi Ogunsanya. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. You're still watching World of Art on Ogtv. Don't forget that you can always send us a message on World of Art to share your thoughts and opinions about our program. We're still here at Mr. Femi Ogunshanya's studio. Mr. Femi Ogunsanya is the chairman for Society of Nigerian Artists, Ogun State chapter, and we've been having a very beautiful conversation about art education. But very quick, because this is your studio, we want you to do some practical works for us, what it means for you to either paint. I mean, you can't do the sculpting today, but we want you to give a bit of a artistic display. This is time for practicals. What art feels like.
Yes, like I was telling a friend of mine in Abuja, he said painting is the queen of art. Oh. Then I told him that sculpture is the king of art.
Who are the children?
So the children, they are now, let's say, designed, because you can't draw or paint from textile. Exactly. So don't let me go into the children. So let's stick with the king and queen. So today I will just do a demonstration of still life painting, and which we do a lot. Painting of a bottle and some fruits, which is very common, and I'm using gouache for this exercise. So I will start now, because this is the studio, and I will let you see how I go about it.
Welcome back. I'm not the artist, I'm the one ushering you to this session, the still life session, painting session, where Mr. Ogunsanya will be doing his work. So
so I will be painting a fruit, a cup, and a bottle. So 3 fruits actually, and I'm using gouache, so which is a water-based art medium, so on this surface. So, and because I teach students, at times I encourage them to start with pencil, but as a professional I can choose to start with the gouache straight. So, and as I'm doing this, I will also put you through. So the bottle is at the center, so I'm using yellow, which is a very light pink color, which I can still cover it up with any other color. So the bottle will get to somewhere here, and this will be the neck of the bottle, and I have this as the shoulder of the bottle. So then I have this cup here, okay? So the cup is going to be here. I will check the proportion of the cup, which is here, and I have the cup this way. And the orange, which is in front of the bottle here, oh, sorry, I was about to start the orange straight. So this is the orange here, which will still work. And then the pear is to this height, a little bit behind the orange. And I have the apple peeping from behind here. So this is the basic composition, the outline.
This is like making a skeleton.
Yes, a sketch of
a
what
sketch.
yes. So having done with the sketch, then I will now start to do the details one after the other. Okay, so I will now start with the bottle, which is at the background. I will ensure I position it well. You can see me using yellow, and the bottle is dark green. So to get green, you will need to mix yellow plus blue. We give you green. So I will still work the bottle into giving us the required green color. Exactly. So now this is more of yellow, as we can see there. So
how long does this take to dry?
It's water-based, so it dries in 30 minutes, depending on the condition of the room temperature. Yes, so I will now put this gradually. So that's the base color. Then I now go to the orange as well, which is this. So plus or minus in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I should be able to finish with this. Then I have the cup here, which is red. I need to thin it up a little.
So if I need to make as many as this for in a day, I just need to get my canvas ready and...
Yes, once you have your canvas or your paper, mostly we do gouache work on paper. It could be cartridge paper, it could be cardboard paper. So that is where you basically do your...
So is this color the same as the one students use in those days, watercolor?
Exactly. This is a gouache, which we normally call poster color.
Poster color.
Yeah, so this is more of the poster color. So the bottle, you can see I did not finish any one. I will just be treating them one after the other till I get to finish. So it's going to be a gradual thing. So the bottle is coming up gradually, and I will need to observe the balance and then the proportion, and then most importantly the effect of light, shade and shadow in the painting. So it's a gradual process like that. I need to be more observant, and because of usual practice, I can get this done easily like that.
Someone gave an illustration of our art and tried to draw a picture of what art is outside the usual that we know. And the example was, art is like a fancy kitchen where behind it is, a fancy restaurant where behind it is a very rough kitchen where all the rough works are done to bring this wonderful and palatable meal for
yes,
people to.
Exactly.
The processes are usually not the way it looks like from the end.
Yes, so but by the time you now complete the work and you now frame it, that is where you now see the beauty of what you have done. Yeah, so this is the basic layout for what we are doing here. So after now, we now get another set of brush to do the details, which are a little bit tiny. So now the color of the apple now will be coming gradually.
is the final session or
Yes.
the complete session?
Yes.
So I'm just going to let you wrap up with this.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I spent about 30 minutes thereabout. So I'm done with the still life painting. And I decided to combine a little bit of realism and impressionism. So that is when you just freestyle using your colors with strokes that will be visible. So
I think this is very beautiful.
thank you very much.
These objects are very well positioned and represented. I mean, you can tell this is a cup. This is an orange.
Okay.
This is a pear.
Okay.
And this is another orange or apple.
It's an apple, yeah.
And this is a bottle.
Exactly. So still life composition done.
Understood.
Exactly.
World of Art this week has brought you a lot of things. It brought you the conversation around art and what it means to practice art, to get your hands dirty in the practice of art, and then bringing you the final product, which you saw before now. The program is where we bring you art practitioners, brought to you by Prince Engineer Yemisi Shilon, legal practitioner, Africa's largest private art collector, Grand Donor and Chairman of Council, Yemisi Shilon Museum of Art. My name is Miriam Usman. I'll see you next week, God's willing, with another artist, and we'll talk more about art. Until then, art is life. Bye for now.